Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we had Modron Undead. What was that one about?
Well, there were these aliens of some sort. I can't remember if they were originally Gallifreyans or not. But they were trying to regenerate. And essentially they were on their last legs. And somehow or other they managed to, I want to say, kidnap this kid from a British prep school or college or something.
Well, technically the Black Guardian did that.
Okay.
So.
And they go back to the early 1980s and they meet Lethbridge Stewart again, but he has no memory of who the Doctor is, because apparently there's some gap between the time that the Black Guardian kidnapped the kid, like in 78 and then 83 or so. Anyway, so they have to go back and forth. The Lethbridge Stewart, the Brigadier, finally remembers everything and they foil the bad guys. But I can't remember. I think Turlough, who was the college kid, is a stowaway. He hides out on the TARDIS, and after they take off, he reveals that he's there.
Yeah, pretty much. So
I'd forgotten about the Black Guardian.
Yeah, most people should, I would think. Anyway, but yeah, so it was a whole thing, and now it's basically resulted in we now have a new guy on the TARDIS. I guess they finally got around to replacing Adric.
But this guy is a bit of a squid, isn't he? I mean, he was working with the Black Guardian and doesn't seem to be... I don't think there's anybody that we've had that was literally trying to sabotage the Doctor before.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there are people who went along unwillingly and ultimately came around to it. But this guy, because he was under the control of the Black Guardian, it seems like he would be, I don't want to say a villain, but he certainly doesn't seem to fit in the regular mold of a companion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was also, too, because the reason he was going with the Black Guardian was because he promised Turlough that he would take him away from Earth, which Turlough was very bored of Earth. So it does kind of fit of, like, you know, he would want to go with the Doctor, but I get why he would want to go with the Doctor. I don't get why the Doctor takes him, because he's kind of just been nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
So...
Now, was there some speculation that Turlough was perhaps an alien himself? I don't remember that. But he kept saying, I don't want to be here on Earth anymore.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. In an interesting bit of news about Doctor Who, they just recently, now when this goes up, not as recently, but they just recently revealed in Magic the Gathering, the very popular card game, that they made a bunch of Doctor Who cards for Magic the Gathering. Now, I don't play Magic. Every time I look at it, it looks like a completely foreign language to my Yu-Gi-Oh brain, but...
Does that count as an anime reference?
Perhaps.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's fine if people, you know, if people enjoy that, obviously. From what I hear, it's a good, fun game. It's kind of the original card game, basically. Lasted for 30 years. That's all great. And now they have Doctor Who stuff in there. And I was watching a video on it, and it was really interesting to watch because I got everything, basically. And the video was mainly going over a lot of the classic cards, and it was like, you know, it's specifically for their Commander format. So, as just a quick explanation, is that in the, I'm going to say duel again because I have my Yu-Gi-Oh brain going, you have a specific creature that is your commander of the deck, like the big boss, basically. And you can basically, with these cards, every Doctor is basically the commander of that deck. And it was really interesting to watch and see all of the different companions chosen to be on cards. And they hit a lot of the highlights. I didn't see if there was a Turlough card, but there might be. What I did see was there is an Adric card, and it's specific. He's specifically called Adric Mathematical Genius, which I think is hilarious. And the image for it, and I don't know if I'll put any of this on screen or not, but the image for it is specifically him dying at the end of Earthshock. And I thought, ooh, boy, that... I don't know, and again, I don't know if he goes well, like, with the Fifth Doctor card or not. Again, I don't know too much about Magic or how, cards work, and especially these new decks. But I did see the video talked about, like, it's kind of interesting, like, how different companions don't actually go for... They don't pair easily well with the Doctor that they should. So there's something like... There are a couple standouts, like, the Fourth Doctor works well with Sarah Jane if you have both of them on the field. That makes sense. But then there were some where it's like, yes, you can have the First Doctor and Nyssa. They actually work really well together. And I was like, you'd think when designing them they would work a bit better with each of them. Yeah. And I think, like, the Eighth Doctor goes really well with Jamie. But it was just so interesting, and I actually, for some reason, I got so excited going through the cards when it got to the card of Benton, because I was just like, yes, have a card of Benton. There's one of the Brigadier as well, and just for some reason I was like, because I feel like, even though Benton was in a fair number of episodes, I feel like nobody counts Benton or the Brigadier as companions. Yeah. But I feel like they definitely should. So I was glad to see, like, a Benton card. And the only other thing I'll say about it is on the card for Barbara, I think it specifically lists her as, like, human advisor. And she has effects based on the fact that she's a history teacher. And if these cards weren't, if Magic the Gathering wasn't so expensive, I'd buy these cards. So, even though I don't play the game. But I did think... On Barbara's card, it should have said Human Warrior, which is what they put on Jamie, which makes sense for Jamie.
Well, yeah. And although, theoretically, wasn't he like a piper or a drummer or something?
I don't know. He definitely had a sword, at least. Yeah. But yeah, I think at the very least on Jamie and Leela, they're both listed as warriors among all of them. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. If any of you are out there playing that, let us know, and... I guess sort of what deck do you run? What deck do you run? What commander, doctor, and what companion? So all of those are really cool. Perhaps I'll put them on screen if I remember, maybe. But yeah. Doesn't have anything to do with the episodes per se, unless there is a Turlough card that references today's episode, Terminus. That was a good segue. So yeah, I have no idea. Or maybe it references last episode. Now, we have had a thing this season where every episode has been a returning villain. So I'm very curious as to what we're going to get this episode. That was also... I did also notice there was one card about Omega, but it was specifically from the beginning of this season, his design from Arc of Infinity, and I thought, well, that's fine, because that's another appearance of him. It's like, I wish it was another... And there's also a card specifically of the meeting of the first three Doctors, and in the flavor text on it, it's the quote of the first Doctor saying, "Oh, so these are my replacements, a dandy and a clown." So, again, if I had money, I would buy all of these cards just because they're... As a Doctor Who fan, I would buy that, and then maybe I would try to learn Magic, but again, it's just, like, they're speaking gibberish over there. They're talking about, like, haste and trample, and a lot of the cards I noticed in the Doctor Who collections, like, do this thing, and if this happens, investigate. And that's all they said, is just investigate. And I was like, what does that mean? I'm used to, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, special summon one level 8 dragon type monster or something. You can only use this effect of, Bingelsdorf once per turn or something. Like, that's a complete side tangent of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Has ruined my brain, and I can't look at other card games anymore. Anywho, that's your weekly tangent here on Doctor Who.
That's a heck of a tangent.
It is.
A 10-minute tangent.
I think we've had longer, though.
That's probably true.
So, Why don't we jump right into Terminus?
End of the line.
Where am I supposed to be going?
Your function is to obey, not question.
I may not have much time.
Okay, so he's
think they
still
trust me.
with the Black Guardian.
The round door behind you.
Which one?
If I choose to smooth the way with a smile and a soft phrase, that doesn't make me unreliable. Charm, the way I use it, is to disagree agreeably.
You were using it to deceive.
Oh, you're so typical of your planet. Reduce to shouting if you can't have your own way.
I am not.
No? You seem unable to grasp that there are other approaches. To smile before asking.
Don't patronize me, Turlough.
I'm simply relating what I think.
Turning an argument around is something you're very good at.
Listen to yourself. You're so concrete in the way you think. Why can't you just agree to differ?
I think you're dangerous.
I think we should try and be friends.
I think she's gonna break your ankle.
What's that?
I don't know.
Where does that door lead to?
Another spacecraft?
No.
I swear, in the last cut of the Doctor, his hair was brushed over the other way.
Good shot!
I wonder how that happened.
Seems we have no choice. We go on.
Look like graffiti that you see on the side of the trains rumbling through Oklahoma.
Come on.
Electronic wolves. They're here for the electronic sheep.
Check the air seal.
Okay.
You're a little generous on how big you wanted to make the helmet. Can we have Daleks? We have Daleks at home.
What was that? The other ones that were obviously substitutes for the Daleks that were ludicrous because they moved even less than the Daleks did. Some planet that was radioactive.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the helmets on, I'd really realize how 80s their outfits and hair are.
Looks like she should be doing an exercise video.
We're lost, aren't we?
Certainly not.
Yeah, maybe you should start taking like a marker with you and like mark along the wall.
Breadcrumbs, string.
Well,
Then I'm asking you, will you take us off this ship?
If you put the guns away. Please. Thank you.
you don't often see them asked nicely.
All decks stand by. All decks stand by. This is a special announcement from Terminus Incorporated.
I know, capitalism.
Yeah, follow me.
Oh, there?
I know where we are.
Where?
On like a plague ship?
Looks like it. Bring out your dead. I'm not dead yet. You're not fooling anyone.
This is Terminus, where all the masses come to die. We're on a leper ship. We're all going to die.
Okay.
Alright then. Well, not necessarily a returning villain, although yes, because it is still the Black Guardian. I mean, look, I think they need to realize, I say they need to, this, was so long ago, but they need to realize that the Black Guardian is not their most compelling villain. But I don't know. Maybe we'll meet someone else on a leper ship. I mean, I was starting to think like, oh, maybe it is some sort of plague ship. But then when they started walking out, I was like, well, I didn't mean actually like the medieval plague. So,
well, yeah. Basically, it's a leper colony. And like most Earth cultures, up until the present time, of course, where we actually have, I don't know if there's an actual cure for leprosy, but I know there's treatments for it. The lepers were always sent away because it was considered to be highly contagious. The ancient Romans had leper colonies in Judea. You've probably never seen the film Ben-Hur, but the title character, his mother and his sister, I think, contract leprosy while he's off, in the main part of the story. Several of the prison colonies in South America were leper colonies. A lot of isolated islands in the Pacific, mostly the South Pacific, were also considered leper colonies. The idea was, if you confine all these people to one place, then there'll be nobody new to infect, and ultimately when they all die off, that leprosy would die off with them. It was not very humane, but, unfortunately the thinking of the time was, if we do not separate these people from the general population, it could literally, like the Black Plague did in the 13 and 1400s, it could, kill millions, if not billions of people.
Well, yeah. I remember I saw a thing. For a second I thought, oh yeah, I saw that recently, didn't I? I was like, I think that was in 2014. Where I think I saw a thing where like someone contracted the Black Plague in modern times, and it was a big story. Oh, it's the Black Plague, and then it was like, yeah, but we can treat that.
Yeah,
we have modern technologies and medicines, so it wasn't the end of the world. So it wasn't the end of the world until it was the end of the world just a couple of years ago. So yeah. But yeah, so I guess a question in this episode is, why did the Raiders seemingly knowingly leave their advance party to die on a leper ship?
My conjecture at this point is they didn't know it was a leper ship, they didn't know it was a Terminus ship, but once the advance party got in there, that's when they began to realize it, and they said, we're going to plug up the hole and get out of here before the disease, takes us over as well.
Maybe. So
there would be no other reason to leave them there.
Well, yeah.
Unless they just didn't like them. But there was no setup for that,
yeah.
I'm sending you two off because you annoy me.
Yeah. You would think that their ridiculous giant space helmets would be able to... I guess unless they get touched, but even then, if they have space suits, that should be pretty... the whole point is to keep everything in, so that should protect a bit against that. So, again, though, the Black Guardian's plan, I don't fully get it. At least last time when it was revealed, like, this was the Black Guardian's plan, was to have the Doctor give up his remaining 8 regenerations to Modron and his people. Okay, sure, that makes more sense than send a British schoolboy to kill Time Lord. This one, still, I guess, I'm sure the leprosy would kill him. I don't know if he wouldn't just then regenerate, but I don't know. It's the same sort of thing of I'm not sure what the idea is, other than we had a story about a leper ship, throw in the Black Guardian so that we have a reason to put in Turlough. Slimy little snake that he is.
Yeah, he's one of those people that you just by, and I know this is, I don't know what the term would be, but you look at him, he doesn't look trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that he's a redhead or he's a male, or he's got beady eyes, kind of sharp little nose, and of course his attitude doesn't help. That is very similar. I think I mentioned last time around Dr. Smith in the Lost in Space, again, had that same look about him.
Yeah, so I mean, he's playing it really well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just, and I mean, that's the thing of like that conversation where it's like, you know, the difference between him and Tegan, I guess, and it's like when she's like, "Oh, at least I'm honest," and it's like, "Well, being rude is not very good," and it's like, but she's not that rude per se. It's like, yeah, she's honest, she's very vocal, but at the same time, it's like, no, you're the one who's like being a pest and a problem here and disguising it behind, you know, British schoolboy values.
Yeah, he's very manipulative.
Yeah, so
We're all going to die!
It's a Borg cube.
I rather think he's got a lot to tell us.
well, they're in a pretty good place.
Oops.
And
Stuck.
might be a bit stuck, but you know.
It's those things walking over the grating.
Must be another way out.
Come out to the coast. Have a party. Have a few laughs.
I mean, better to be down there than up there with them. Keep a little distance there, buddy.
But Terminus seems to be at the exact center of the known universe.
Wow. That's incredibly impressive. Wow. I think you're a little, maybe a decade off on that mustache.
Oh! No! Oh! The reading's still climbing. I must find out what's happening.
Now, Bor was a character in the Arthurian legend. And these guys have knight-like armor. They're the knights who say, "Me."
Now what?
Back! Must be to do with the sterilizing.
Seems to me if you lay on your back and kick your feet up, you could probably push one of those grates out.
Valgard, don't anger Arak. He has great power.
The only power he has is in the control of the hydromel. Without that, we're all dead.
Be careful.
Sounds like great power to me. I love the sounds of their shifting plastic armor.
Come. Can you hear me? One of the Vanir has entered the Forbidden Zone. If he has died, we must have his body back. You understand? And quickly!
You did talk about mechanical wolves.
I did. Maybe he'll get a treat if he brings back the armor.
Who's a good boy?
The center of the universe.
That's the center. Oh, now you've stick too.
Let her go! Now it's your turn. Only you I'm going to kill.
Now, I'm trying to remember, when did the film Alien come out? Do you remember?
79,
Okay.
I think.
So-
I did a reaction to it, so.
Instead of the, spaceship like the original Star Trek with all the clean gleaming and everything. This is more like this is a grungy old spacecraft.
Well, yeah.
And their armor's falling apart. They have to inject themselves with the hydromel apparently to stay alive or to repel the radiation effects. So it's all very moody, very shades of grunge and darkness, which is very effective. The story is taking a while to play itself out. I mean, we got the beginning of it in the first episode very quickly. It's a plague ship. We're all going to die. The second episode, although it slightly advanced the plot, there was 5 to 10 minutes of Tegan and Turlough crawling around in the air ducts, and the rest of it we got introduced to the knights who say Nihu, whatever they are, but it really hasn't gone anywhere since then. So I like the atmospherics. I like where the story seems to be going. It's just taking a while to get there.
Yeah, like it's not bad. I'm not necessarily like bored or anything. Like it's still interesting. I'm just like, okay, and the point. Where are we going with this, So, especially too, just the whole mystery of the center of the universe. Like, okay, what's going on with that, Yeah. So,
and who's the mechanical wolf?
Yeah, that was really weird, but it honestly doesn't look that bad.
No, the guy did call it Garm, so
yeah, so.
Either I lost hearing in one ear or the sound just shifted.
No, I think I need to get new speakers, so that one kind of cuts out sometimes.
Wait a minute. Hello.
Well, yeah.
This may be one of those where they have a good story, but they also know they have to fill 4 episodes, 4 parts.
Well, yeah.
And it's, probably could have been done in 3. So they're somewhat hindered by the format.
Well,
yeah. Fry his fritters.
Use the gun.
I'd appreciate some help.
Oh, trick shot.
My power pack's dead.
Come on.
Computer's freaking out. Anyway, we're good.
Oh no, the Forbidden Zone.
Oh no. Oh, good. He kept the stick.
The only thing they care about is hydromel, the drug that keeps them alive.
What are they going to do with us?
Supposedly cure us.
I bet they produced the hydromel
die.
somehow. A fluffed pillow.
It spoke.
I mean, someone had to put it there, clearly.
It'd be more than just a loud bang. Chain reaction. Nothing in the universe would be safe.
What?
Did I tell you? One of the engines has already exploded.
When?
No, it was a long time ago. It's all in the computer.
14 billion years ago?
Yeah, maybe.
Next.
Come on, dog whistle.
If there was a second explosion, would it have the same effect as the jettisoned fuel?
Not quite. Whereas the first explosion created the universe, the second would undoubtedly destroy it.
Where did the ship come from?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Oh, yeah.
What? It wasn't the pilot's decision. The computers just started an automatic sequence to jettison the unstable fuel. If we don't do something quickly, the whole universe will be destroyed.
The dead pilot sitting in the chair is also reminiscent of the Alien. Remember when they first went down to and found the egg?
Yeah.
There was a dead pilot sitting in the chair.
Oh, yeah. I feel like there have been 10 and yet no explanations for how the universe has started in Doctor Who, so kind of a big thing, I feel like, to just be like, yep, this is how it happened. This ship, jettison fuel, it happens.
I think what they're trying to imply, although they didn't, again, say it very specifically, is the idea of a multiverse.
Yeah.
That there are several universes, all created in different ways, but all existing at the same time, in different dimensions.
Yeah, so wherever the Terminus ship is from happened to find itself within the void, jettison the fuel, exploded, shot the ship forward in time, billions of years to where it is now, falling apart. But why do they have lepers? Why do the Lazars come here to die? No.
All will be explained in episode 4.
Probably, maybe. But, okay, this at least makes sense of why does the Black Guardian think this will kill the Doctor? Because anything that will destroy the universe, yes, I'm sure that will kill the Doctor.
Won't it also kill the Black Guardian?
I mean, but there's also the question of, did the Black Guardian realize this? Because he's still waiting on Turlough to kill the Doctor somehow. So, I don't know.
And again, this is reinforcing my idea that this is a good story, but the story was then forced into this format. It's like they say this is the square peg being pounded into the round hole, and there is a whole lot of stuff that seems to be extraneous simply to fill out 4 episodes or 4 parts to the overall episode.
Yeah. And some of it is well, you can fill it with the Black Guardian now. And it's like, okay, but the Black Guardian never made any sense. So it's it just, I don't know. And especially in this story, it doesn't fully work with this story.
Well, in The Key of Time, the season-long arc kind of made sense in that he was trying to gather the parts where he would be able to control time and space.
Yeah.
But now, it's now it's just a revenge plot. Now, he's just a glorified master.
Yeah, pretty much. But he's not as fun as the Master is, so...
Yeah, he has no charm or wit. He's just, he's killed the Doctor by any means necessary. Terminus not only being the ship, it now refers to the end of the world or the universe.
We must stop the sequence.
Do you know how?
Oh.
Not yet.
It's serious now. He took his jacket off.
Oh no, Nissa!
Turn around, you idiot.
Yeah.
Test mode on all systems is now disengaged. All systems operating within permitted tolerances.
Shut up!
Emergency. Emergency. Launch abort. Launch abort.
Don't believe.
Good job.
Launch abort.
He's trapped. He's powerless. Probably dead already.
You represent a poor investment of my time and energy.
I mean, yeah.
Such an investment.
I'm
Bad
unarmed.
Wolf turns out to be a teddy bear.
Can you understand me?
Perfectly.
Oh, there.
You came through the cure.
Just about.
What happened?
I was simply exposed to a massive dose of radiation. There's no proper diagnosis, no control. And this is supposed to be someone's idea of decontamination.
She better not stay behind with him in this episode.
Cure works, but it needs to be controlled. Otherwise, you just trade one killer for another. Radiation-induced diseases that may take years to show.
Let's just concentrate on getting away,
It
shall
could
we?
all be changed.
I've no doubt you're right, but you can argue your case later. Now, come on, quickly.
Radiation therapy. Instead of chemotherapy.
Have I served you well?
Indeed you have.
Do something for me.
Scooby Snack.
Destroy the box.
With changes, Terminus could work, become a proper hospital.
The company isn't interested.
Are you, though? And the other Vanir?
Even if we were, it's not possible without hydromel. It's the company who control that.
But if you had an endless supply of it, you'd be free of their control, wouldn't you?
Am I dead yet?
Not yet. Not fooling anyone.
Good shot.
You're the expert. What do you think?
Well, she was making an enzyme at the beginning of the story.
Look,
Doctor, talk to Nissa.
what is it?
I'm not coming with you.
What?
There's too much to be done here.
Tell her she must.
Well, you can't stay. It isn't safe.
Let us part in good faith.
We do fully understand the commitment you'll be undertaking,
Yes.
and that life here will be very hard.
I'm fully aware of that, but I want to stay.
That's what Susan said.
You're a very brave
Well.
person. I wish you every luck.
She'll die here. Not easily, Tegan. Like you, I'm indestructible.
But now he's stuck with Tegan and Turlough. That's awful.
Turlough!
He's coming, boy. This is your last chance. I shall not say that again. Kill the Doctor!
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
That is an anime reference.
It is. That's alright.
Well, I would have never expected Nissa to leave before Tegan did.
Yeah.
I mean, you were right. You could see that,
Yeah.
that setup there.
I mean, at the very least, I'm pretty sure we have Tegan and Turlough through the rest of the season. So, which that it's honestly hilarious how much the Doctor dislikes Tegan. Honestly, so like just at the end there, just be like, now you have to say that you're pleased to see her. Yes, I'm pleased to see her, but I told her not to follow. You know,
This is going to be another Adric situation.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure he enjoys Tegan more than Adric, but at the same time, it's like he clearly just wanted Nissa, so I don't know. But maybe, I mean, that was the thing, is the reason Nissa came back was just because they wanted to bring someone back at the end of Tom Baker's run. And so they decided, well, we'll just bring Nissa back and she'll work out. But they were planning originally just to have Tegan. So maybe now they can sort of go, I guess, maybe where they wanted to go with Tegan, but
I don't know. See, that's the thing. Usually, and we've talked about this before, usually there is some skill set or something about each of the companions that allows them to complement the Doctor. But she really doesn't have any skills. You know, Adric, as annoying as he was the mathematical genius, helped out with the computations. Nissa was a scientist on Traken. You know, all of these people, or most of them anyway, have had some function. Tegan does not have a function, and that's why it seems to me that, and I understand they have to leave Nissa behind here because she can actually help, you know, with the radiation therapy and that sort of thing. She can help the Garm. Was it Garm, or I guess it was Garm, not Garn.
right. Garm.
Gorn was the
Yeah.
reptile from Star Trek. But yeah, now he's stuck with Tegan, who has literally no skills whatsoever that would be helpful to him, and a guy who is trying to kill him.
Yeah. Which, at the very least, I guess this is a character arc for Turlough, where now he's, you know, he's finally ready to break away from the Black Guardian, but that was kind of weird, though, just sort of leaving that on a cliffhanger, yet next one is, you know, the new story, you know? At least, let me just, like, yeah, just double checking, like, we didn't accidentally miss a part 5, but yeah, so I guess that's going to be the thing, is now that if Turlough can break away from the Black Guardian, being on the TARDIS is what he wanted. He wanted to get away from Earth, so maybe he could be a bit more of a team player, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, watching the whole episode was basically like just the two of them just kind of off on their own thing. Like, we don't really know what to do with these characters otherwise, but we have to continue this thing of Turlough and the Black Guardian, and Tegan's also there, but we want to wrap up Nissa's character, so throw them in an air duct, pull a cord, and then that's pretty much all they could do.
That does appear to be seriously why they were even in this episode.
Yeah, like we can't just leave them on the TARDIS because Turlough still is connected to the Black Guardian, and we still have to pay the actors for their screen time. So just chuck them somewhere else.
But again, if they had left them on the TARDIS, and Doctor just said, "Wait here," and then again, story-wise, this could have been compacted down into 3 parts. Maybe even 2. I mean, it was an interesting story, but as we constantly commented here, it seemed to be, because of the addition of the whole, Tegan and Turlough in the air duct, Darmok when the walls fell, that is literally how they fit this gigantic square peg into this infinitesimally small round hole.
Yeah, so it's again, it's not bad by any means.
Overall, it's a good story. I enjoyed the idea that you have this corporate company that literally does not care except for about making money, and now the people who have been in charge of it, literally going on strike, but they have the advantage that they're going to be able to scare away anybody who would come there, because the people in Terminus still think that this is a diseased ship, a diseased hospital, whatever you want to call it, colony, asylum, whatever. So so it's interesting. There's an interesting dynamic. There's a great story in these 4 episodes that was trying to get out, but it was somewhat bogged down by the unfortunate Tegan and Turlough story.
Well, and also just the thing of, it's also 2 stories of this hospital where you send the Lazar people and, they're being cured. Turns out they are actually being cured, but, it's still a bad place. They even say, even the people that get cured, some of them just don't survive it still. Some do, some don't. Yeah. And Nissa was fortunate enough to survive. But then you also have this whole thing of, originally, this ship was in the void. Specifically in the void of nowhere, nothing. The pilot ejected the unstable fuel, which caused the Big Bang and created the universe, blasting Terminus ship forward billions of years to where it is now. But I don't know, I don't see the connecting point of, this is the ship that accidentally created the universe, to this is where you send all the lepers to die, basically, or get cured. No. So it's it seems like there's no connecting thread between those.
And I'm wondering, again, my memory of this is very hazy, because I've really never known anybody who underwent this, especially 40 years ago. I'm wondering if this is, in the early 80s, the beginning of radiation therapy, where we began to understand that if you target, for example, a tumor with radiation, you could shrink it or kill it. But if you don't do it properly, you could damage the other organs around it. So yes, sometimes it did cure, sometimes it caused other problems. And this is, again, very interesting social commentary, because today, literally with the help of lasers and computers, we can literally, down to just millimeters, target a tumor with radiation, proton therapy, whatever we want to call it. So in that, it's a fascinating story with social commentary in it, unfortunately at times bogged down by the Tegan and Turlough story.
Which, and again, it's they're both interesting things of the universe and the cure and the illness and everything. Is they're 2 interesting things. I just don't fully see how they connect together. Yeah. So, and also, this episode also has something I've only really started to notice of, we're going to introduce side characters that otherwise have no reason to be in this story. And that's our two raiders, Olvir and the other one.
Whatever her name was.
Kari. That was it. The two of them, where if you take the two of them out and you replace them, say, with Tegan and Turlough, the story doesn't really change that much, you know? Just have a thing of, Tegan is with the Doctor, maybe she finds a blaster and kind of uses it. That's fine. Like, I don't remember much else that Kari did with the Doctor. Yeah. And then everything with Olvir, like, you can just kind of replace that with Turlough, and he still, can figure some things out on the ship and everything. And, maybe he's going back and forth, I gotta kill the Doctor, but should I try to help Nyssa with everything that's going on? And then if you do that, that honestly is more character development for Turlough. And it's not just, well, I'm trying to break away from the Black Guardian because, he zapped me. Yeah. It's, this interesting sort of back and forth. He's starting to change. Maybe he wants to actually join the Doctor, but he'll have to get away from the Black Guardian. And then they're not stuck in a tube for 4 episodes. So... And it's not that Kari and Olvir are bad. They're good. I just don't get why they're here. Because there's some times where it's like, you have a story like Earthshock, where it's like, all right, you got the people that were in the caves, and then you got the people that are on the cargo ship, and they all kind of work, and they more work when they need to be, once the cave workers go to the ship, they kind of lose some of their function, but they still kind of work. Yeah. But here, it's like, why make those characters and then not do anything with Tegan and Turlough? Yeah. Unless you just really wanted to focus on Nyssa and the end of her character, and I feel like you still didn't do that very much.
I will say one thing, though. Despite the parallels with Dalek Invasion of Earth and Susan's departure, I'm glad that... there was only the slightest hint of any relationship between Olvir and Nyssa. She's not staying because of him. Yeah. She's saying, I'm going to stay here because with my skills, this is what I was doing back home on Traken, and I can be helpful here.
Honestly, I don't even think Olvir's staying there. Yeah. I think he and Kari are getting out of there at the first chance they get. So it's not... like, the worst example... I mean, the one with Susan, it's like, oh, well, she found love in Dalek world, I guess. And it's like, okay. The one that is the absolute worst was Leela, when she just, like, oh, she's, I guess, in love with Guy from Gallifrey now. It's like, I figured it was, hey, I found my people. I found, warriors, quote-unquote savages, Like, she just wanted to go hang out with them, Yeah. They remind her of... the Seva team, basically. But yeah, it's like here, it's like you get a little bit of it, but it's more for Nyssa. It's about, just staying here and helping. It kind of reminded me of Steven when he was, was that called The Savages? Was that episode, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, although that was less Steven choosing to stay behind and more of the First Doctor dumping him there. Yeah. But it was the same sort of thing of like, here I have just the person who can help you get back on your feet. So,
and they had set that up several episodes in because the Doctor and Steven had been arguing. Because the Doctor, Stephen kept saying, this isn't right, this isn't justice, and the Doctor kept saying, you don't understand, we cannot interfere. And he said, but we have to. And that's when the Doctor said, hey, wait a minute, these people need somebody who is a justice warrior. I'm going to leave this guy with you. Yeah. And that was fine because Stephen, again, had no family to go back to. Yeah. Because he was stuck on the original planet that he was on with the little round...
Yeah, like he had like crashed where the Daleks were, I think.
There were Daleks, but there were the big round things that were fighting with the Daleks.
Yeah. So, yeah, they took him along. So
short-term memory is the first to go.
Yeah, and short-term memory is the first thing to go. So, but yeah, it was something like that. I think it was actually because he had left after the massacre episode, and then he came running back in 5 seconds later, and that's when Dodo showed up, and then that which was just a whole weird thing, and then they do that, ditch Steven, and then they really ditch Dodo later.
Yeah.
So that was a whole thing. So yeah, it's not a bad ending for Nyssa, at the very least. I will say it makes more sense than Romana's exit, because with Romana it was just like, it's like, oh, I'm staying behind with the weird lion people, and it's like, why? And it's like, I get, unless it's like, I get it's like you really don't want to go back to Gallifrey. I get that at least.
But there's also something there where she was, again, seeking justice for them. She thought there was some way she could help them. She wasn't just staying behind because, they were fuzzy and cute.
Yeah.
But she actually felt that there was something that she could do to help them in, I've forgotten what their plight was, but she was going to help them with it.
Yeah, I mean, that requires remembering Warrior's Gate, which is not something anyone should do. But I think it was like,
they had been taken advantage of by...
Yeah, like, because they used to, like, rule the world or the galaxy or whatever, but then they became the slaves, so now they've been completely humbled, and she was going to help them out of their slavery. It was a whole thing, and I drink to forget that episode, but yeah. At the very least, like, this, Steven, and Romana's exits are all better, again, than Leela's.
Yeah.
So, and every exit in this show is much better than Dodo's, because she didn't get an exit. She was just ditched off screen.
Oh, yeah, she stayed with her aunt.
That was...
I mean, just seriously disappeared, and half an episode later, somebody said, oh, yeah, she's not coming back.
That was so terrible. They should bring her back in modern Doctor Who. They brought back Tegan recently, so they might as well. In terms of everything else, I don't know. I guess we kind of hit everything. So, no real returning villain. That's kind of a disappointment, even though the rest of the story works. Yeah. Like, the fact that it's like, last episode we had finally picked up on, okay, there's a returning villain every story. And in this one, it's like, well, it's the Black Guardian again. And it's like, okay, I think that's also just a problem of, I don't really like the Black Guardian.
Yeah, he's no master.
Yeah, he's just old man with bird on head who shows up every so often on a screen. So,
and says, kill the Doctor.
Yeah.
All right, what's up next?
Next up is Enlightenment.
I scroll down just a little bit.
Okay.
No. All right.
All right.
I was thinking maybe they would go back to the Age of Enlightenment. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Doctor, a man of science, going back and meeting, Descartes and some of the others.
Yeah. So yeah, that will be. So this was story 4. That was 5. We've been getting. Let me see. So this will be 5, 6.
Oh wait.
7. Oh, that's only a 2-parter as well. So we've only got 3 more stories. The 6th one is a 2-parter, and then the last one is the 5 Doctors. Okay. So, and I noticed here on BritBox Amazon that the 5 Doctors is still just the full cut, which I don't know if they actually did a version that was 4 parts. So I don't know. I mean, whatever it is, we'll probably just watch the one here on Amazon, which is just the hour 30 cut. So I don't know if there were other cuts, but we'll get to that when we get to that. That is the weird thing is, I remember Turlough being in the 5 Doctors for like 1 second, and then I don't remember him being in that ever again. So now I'm watching this like, wait a minute, why would Turlough not be doing anything in that story? So,
but I remember that Susan was in it briefly, of course, grown up.
Yeah.
And Jamie was in it, just briefly.
There were a lot of brief cameos from previous companions. So, all of these companions and more, which you can get in Magic the Gathering now, if you can afford it. So, which is really, again, this is just a thing. as an outsider to Magic the Gathering, their cards are really expensive. I don't know how anyone plays that. So, anywho, if I have the money, maybe we could do a video looking at all the cards and being like, I don't know how to play this game. So, with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as all of another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions, if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.